Do-hyun stood inside the biodome and watched the tomato plants wilt. He had tried everything: new soil mixtures, different water schedules, even prayers to gods he didn't believe in. Nothing worked anymore. The plants were dying because Earth itself was dying. Outside the transparent dome walls, the sky glowed an angry orange. It had been that color for 3 months now. The scientists said the sun was changing, some kind of cosmic event they didn't fully understand. The radiation was getting stronger every day. The oceans were heating up. The ice caps had melted completely. Coastal cities were underwater, and the crops were failing everywhere. Do-hyun was 26 years old. He had studied agriculture at university back when there was still a future to study for. Now he spent his days trying to keep 50 people alive in this dome while the world outside became a furnace. They had maybe 4 months of food left, maybe less. His radio crackled. It was Minji Park, the chancellor. Her voice sounded tired. It always sounded tired these days. Do-hyun, report to the main hub. Emergency meeting. All dome leaders. He looked at the dying tomatoes one last time and left. The main hub was crowded. Dozens of faces stared at the large screen on the wall. Do-hyun recognized most of them. These were the people who ran Earth's last surviving settlements. 2 million humans left on the entire planet. That was all. 2 million out of billions. Minji stood at the front. She was 60 years old but looked 80. Her hair was completely white. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She had been chancellor for 5 years, ever since the previous government collapsed. Nobody envied her job. "They're here," she said simply. The screen flickered. An image appeared. A ship, but not a human ship. This one was enormous, shaped like a curved blade, with surfaces that seemed to shift colors. It hung in orbit above Earth like a silver moon. "First contact," someone whispered. Minji nodded. "They call themselves the Velrin. They've been observing us for 2 weeks. This morning they finally sent a message. They want to talk." "About what?" Do-hyun asked. "They know we're dying," Minji said. "They want to help." The room erupted in noise. Questions, shouts, disbelief. Do-hyun felt his heart hammering. Aliens were real, and they wanted to help. It seemed too good to be true. It was. 3 days later, Do-hyun stood in the landing zone and watched the alien shuttle descend. It moved without sound, settling onto the cracked earth like a falling leaf. A door opened, and she stepped out. Captain Tilra of the Velrin looked almost human. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But her skin had a faint blue tint, and her eyes were too large, too dark. She wore something that might have been a uniform. Behind her, 3 more Velrin emerged. Minji walked forward to meet them. Do-hyun watched from the crowd. Translators had been set up, devices that would turn their languages into something each could understand. "Chancellor Park," Tilra said through the translator. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. "Thank you for meeting with us." "Thank you for coming," Minji replied. "Though I'll admit, we don't know why you're here." Tilra's large eyes seemed sad. "We're here because no species should die alone in the dark. We've watched your world dying. We've seen your people struggle. My fleet is passing through this system. We cannot save your planet, but we can save some of you." Minji went very still. "What do you mean?" "We can transport 50,000 humans to a moon in the Kepler system. It's habitable, barely, but it's a chance. It's more than you have here." 50,000, Minji repeated. "Out of 2 million. Our ships can carry no more. Our resources are limited. We are nomads, Chancellor. We travel between stars. We have little to spare, but what we have, we offer freely." The silence that followed was heavy. Do-hyun felt sick. 50,000. How do you choose who lives? Who gets saved while millions die? "Why?" Minji asked. "Why help us at all?" Tilra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because someone must. Because mercy is rare in this universe. Because if we pass by and do nothing, what does that make us?" Over the next week, the impossible task began. Choosing who would live. Minji established criteria. Essential skills, genetic diversity, age and health. Do-hyun was selected because of his agricultural knowledge. They would need farmers in the new world. He didn't feel lucky. He felt guilty. The Velrin brought down supplies, seed vaults containing thousands of plant species, basic tools, medical equipment, water purifiers, terraforming devices that could slowly make hostile environments livable. They worked alongside humans, teaching them how to use the equipment. Do-hyun met a Velrin engineer named Kes. She showed him how the hydroponic systems worked. Her hands moved with practiced grace. "Why are you really doing this?" Do-hyun asked her. Kes tilted her head. "Captain Tilra believes that kindness is the only thing that matters in the end. Half our council voted against this rescue. They said we need our resources for ourselves. That helping you puts us at risk, but Tilra insisted. She said she saw something in your people, potential hope. She said you deserve a chance." "We can't repay you," Do-hyun said quietly. "We don't ask for payment. This is a gift. Gifts don't require payment." The day of departure came too quickly. Do-hyun stood in line with 49,999 other humans. They boarded the Velrin ships in silence. Many were crying. All of them were leaving someone behind. Do-hyun found a window and pressed his hand against it as the ship lifted off. Below, Earth grew smaller. He could see the orange-tinted atmosphere, the gray oceans, the dead brown continents. Somewhere down there, his parents had chosen to stay. "You go," his mother had said. "You're young. You can build something new. We're old. This is our home. We'll die with it." Minji was on his ship. She stood nearby, also watching Earth shrink away. Tears ran down her weathered face. "We'll remember this," she said, though Do-hyun wasn't sure if she was talking to him or herself. "We'll remember what they did for us. Someday, somehow, we'll repay this debt." Tilra appeared beside them. She looked at Earth for a long moment. "Survive," she said softly. "That's all we ask. Survive. Remember. Grow. And maybe one day show someone else the same mercy we showed you." The journey took 3 months. The Velrin gave them a section of the ship, taught them how to use the equipment, shared their food, even though it made their own supplies run low. When they finally arrived at the moon they called Haven, the Velrin fleet prepared to depart immediately. "You're not staying?" Minji asked Tilra. "We cannot. Our supplies are critical. We must continue our journey. But we'll leave you with everything you need to start. The rest is up to you." "How can we ever thank you?" Tilra touched Minji's shoulder gently. "Build something good. Build something worth saving. That will be thanks enough." The Velrin ships left. Do-hyun stood on Haven's rocky surface and watched them disappear into the stars. Around him, 50,000 humans began unloading supplies. The moon's air was thin and toxic. The temperature was barely survivable. Water was scarce. They had years, maybe decades of brutal work ahead. But they were alive, and they would not forget. The first year on Haven killed 8,000 people. Do-hyun worked 18 hours every day trying to keep the rest alive. The moon's soil was toxic. The atmosphere was mostly carbon dioxide with traces of methane. Water existed only as ice buried deep underground. The temperature swung from burning hot during the long day to freezing cold during the longer night. They lived in pressurized habitats built from the supplies the Velrin had left. Every task outside required environment suits. Every breath of air had to be filtered and recycled. Every drop of water was precious. The terraforming equipment worked slowly, too slowly. Do-hyun watched as people died from equipment failures, accidents, disease, and simple despair. Some just gave up. They would walk outside without suits and let Haven's toxic atmosphere take them. Minji Park refused to give up. Even as her body weakened, even as her hair grew whiter and her hands shook, she pushed them forward. She established rules, work schedules, resource distribution. She settled disputes and comforted the grieving and kept them focused on survival. In the second year, they finally got the first greenhouse working. Do-hyun planted seeds from the Velrun vaults: potatoes, wheat, rice, tomatoes. He remembered his dying plants on Earth and prayed these would be different. They were. The plants grew. Not well, but they grew. That first harvest kept them alive through the third year. By year 5, the population had dropped to 35,000. But the deaths were slowing. They were adapting, learning. The children born on Haven seemed stronger somehow. Their lungs handled the thin air better. Their bodies adapted to the gravity, which was lighter than Earth's. Do-hyun was 33 now. He had a wife, Yoonji, and a daughter named Sora. Sora had been born on Haven. She had never seen Earth. When Do-hyun told her stories about blue oceans and green forests, she looked at him like he was describing a dream. Maybe he was. In year 10, Minji gathered everyone at the landing site. She was 70 years old and dying. Everyone could see it. But she had one last task to complete. Workers had carved words into a massive stone. Minji stood before it, leaning on a cane, and read the words aloud. "We are alive because strangers showed mercy. When we have strength, we repay this debt. We do not forget." She turned to face the crowd. "This is our first law, not written on paper, not stored in computers, carved in stone so it lasts, so our children and their children never forget. The Velrun saved us when they had no reason to, when it cost them dearly, when we could offer nothing in return. One day we will find them, and we will repay what can never truly be repaid." Minji died 3 months later. Do-hyun stood at her memorial and cried. The years passed. Decades. Do-hyun grew old watching Haven transform. The terraforming equipment worked steadily. The atmosphere slowly changed. The temperature stabilized. They discovered underground aquifers and built pumping stations. Greenhouses multiplied across the surface. By year 50, they had turned a section of Haven's surface breathable. Not comfortable, but breathable. Children could walk outside without full suits for short periods. Do-hyun's daughter Sora had children of her own. His granddaughter Hyejin became an engineer, improving the Velrun technology, making it more efficient. Humans were good at that, taking something and making it better. In year 100, the population reached 50,000 again. Then kept growing. Do-hyun died at age 106. His great-granddaughter Yuna was 15. She barely remembered him except as an old man who told impossible stories about a blue and green planet that drowned in fire. Yuna grew up hearing the stories, though. Every child did. The story of Earth, the story of the Velrun, the story of Tilra and her impossible kindness. The first law was taught in schools, carved in stone, remembered. By year 200, Haven's population reached 500,000. They had spread across the moon's surface, building cities underground and domed settlements on the surface. Technology advanced. They studied the Velrun equipment, learned from it, improved it, but they remained hidden. Ships rarely ventured far from Haven. They avoided contact with other species, not out of fear, out of focus. They were building something. Preparing for something, though most didn't consciously know what. By year 300, Haven was transformed. Large sections of the surface had breathable atmosphere. Water flowed in artificial rivers. Forests grew in massive domed valleys. The population reached 1 million. Technology had advanced far beyond what the Velrun had left them. Necessity had made them innovative. Isolation had made them focused. Every advancement was tested ruthlessly. Everything had to work perfectly because failure meant death. They built ships. Large ones. Colony ships capable of carrying thousands. Warships too, though they had no enemies. Mining vessels that could harvest resources from asteroids. Research stations that orbited Haven studying the universe. But they didn't expand. Didn't colonize new worlds. Didn't announce their presence to the galaxy. They stayed on Haven, building and preparing and remembering. Yuna Kim became president in year 328. She was the great-great-great-granddaughter of Do-hyun. She had never known him, but she knew his stories. Every leader since Minji had made the same promises. We remember. We prepare. We will repay. By year 330, Haven's population reached 2 million. The same number that had died on Earth. It felt significant somehow. Like they had finally paid back the lives that were lost. But that wasn't the debt they owed. Yuna stood before the first law stone often. It was a pilgrimage site now. People came to read the words and remember. The stone was worn smooth by millions of hands touching it over the centuries. "We do not forget," Una would whisper. She wondered about the Velrin. Where were they now? Still nomadic, wandering between stars? Had they survived? Did they remember the humans they saved? Did they know what their gift had become? In her office, Una kept maps, star charts showing the routes nomadic fleets might take. She had assigned teams to monitor space, watching for any sign of the Velrin, listening for their signals, searching. It had been 330 years. Most species assumed humanity died with Earth. The few aliens who had heard of the Velrin rescue thought it was ancient history. A sad footnote, a doomed species given false hope. They didn't know that humanity had survived, that they had thrived, that they had spent 3 centuries building something extraordinary. Not for conquest, not for expansion, but for one purpose that had been carved in stone at their darkest moment, to repay an impossible debt. Una's chief of space operations was named Taijin. He was young, barely 40, but brilliant. He commanded humanity's exploration fleet, small, fast ships that mapped the surrounding systems, scouts that ventured further each year. "Keep looking," Una told him. "They're out there somewhere. And when we find them, we need to be ready." "Ready for what?" Taijin asked. Una looked at him. "To show them what their kindness built. To prove that mercy wasn't wasted. To repay them in ways they can't possibly imagine. And if they don't need help, then we offer it anyway. The way they did for us." Taijin nodded and left. Una turned back to her window. Outside, Haven bloomed under its artificial atmosphere. Cities sprawled across the surface. Ships moved through orbit. 2 million humans lived here now, thrived here, built lives and families and dreams here, all because strangers decided that mercy mattered more than logic. The debt remained unpaid. But humanity was patient. They had learned patience from 3 centuries of turning poison into paradise. They had learned determination from Minji's tired eyes and Doyun's dying plants and Tilra's impossible gift. Somewhere in the vast universe, the Velrin still existed. They had to. And humanity would find them, because humanity never forgot a kindness, and they repaid their debts in full. Taijin hated deep space, not because it was dangerous, though it was. Not because it was empty, though it was that too. He hated it because it made him feel small. His ship, the Remembrance, was humanity's most advanced exploration vessel. Fast, powerful, equipped with sensors that could detect a whisper across a solar system. But out here, millions of light years from Haven, it felt like a dust mote in an ocean. "Captain, I'm picking up something," Jisoo said from the navigation station. Taijin straightened in his chair. Jisoo was his navigator, and the best sensor operator he'd ever worked with. If she said she detected something, she had. What kind of something? "Distress signal. Very faint, old coding pattern." Jisoo's fingers danced across her console. "Wait, Captain, this is Velrin coding." The bridge went silent. Hyuk, the chief engineer, looked up from his station. The rest of the crew stopped what they were doing. "Velrin?" Taijin asked carefully. "You're certain?" "The signal pattern matches the old records. The ones from 300 years ago." Jisoo looked at him with wide eyes. "It's them. We found them." Taijin felt his heart hammering. 3 centuries of searching. Generations of hope. And here, in this random sector of space, they had finally found the Velrin. "Plot a course," he ordered. "Maximum speed. And send a message to Haven. Tell President Una we found them." The Remembrance jumped to faster-than-light travel. It would take 6 hours to reach the signal's source. 6 hours that felt like 6 years. Taijin spent the time reviewing everything they knew about the Velrin. Which wasn't much. A nomadic species, peaceful, technologically advanced at least 300 years ago. They traveled in fleets, never staying in one place long. And once, long ago, they had saved humanity for no reason except that it was the right thing to do. "Dropping out of FTL," Jisoo announced. The Remembrance emerged into normal space near a dying red star, and there, scattered across the system, were the Velrin ships, or what remained of them. Taijin stared at the view screen in horror. The graceful blade-shaped vessels he'd seen in the old records were gone. These ships were wrecks, hulls patched with mismatched metal, engines flickering. Some weren't moving at all, just drifting dead in space. "Life signs?" he asked quietly. "Detecting approximately 10,000 Velrin across the fleet," Hyuk reported. "But Captain, these readings are bad. Malnutrition, disease, many of the ships have no power. Scan for threats." Negative. System is clear. But Captain, look at this. Jisoo put an image on screen. Debris fields. Destroyed ships. Some of the wreckage was Velrun. Some was different. Aggressive-looking vessels with heavy weapons. Someone's been attacking them, Taejin said. For a while by the look of it. Taejin stood. Open a communication channel. All frequencies. Let's introduce ourselves. It took 20 minutes before they got a response. A face appeared on screen. Female, with the same blue-tinted skin and large dark eyes Taejin had seen in the old records. But this Velrun looked exhausted, starving, desperate. Unknown vessel, she said through the translator. This is Fleet Leader Ilma of the Velrun. We mean no harm. We have nothing worth taking. Please just leave us in peace. Taejin's throat was tight. Fleet Leader Ilma, this is Captain Taejin of the human vessel Remembrance. We received your distress signal. Ilma blinked. Human, but Earth died. Your species died 300 years ago. No, Taejin said gently. Your people saved us. You gave us a chance. We took it, we survived. And we've been looking for you ever since. Ilma's face crumpled. She put her hand over her mouth. Behind her, Taejin could see other Velrun gathering, staring at the screen in disbelief. You survived, she whispered. You actually survived, because of you. Because of Captain Tilra and her impossible kindness. We owe you everything. Tears ran down Ilma's face. Tilra was my great-grandmother. She died believing you were all gone. She spent her last years mourning you. Taejin felt his own eyes burning. I'm sorry we couldn't find you sooner. But we're here now, and we need to know what happened to you. Over the next hour, Ilma told the story. After leaving humanity on Haven, the Velrun fleet continued their nomadic journey. They were a peaceful people, traders and explorers. For 2 centuries, they traveled safely between the stars. Then they encountered the Krell Dominion. The Krell were an aggressive species that viewed the galaxy as their territory. They hunted weaker species for resources and sport. The Velrun, with their failing ships and peaceful nature, were perfect prey. They've been hunting us for 80 years, Ilma said. Her voice was flat, exhausted. We keep running. They keep finding us. We've lost so many. We had 50,000 people when they first attacked. Now we have barely 10,000. Our ships are dying. Our supplies are gone. We're dying slowly. Where are the Krell now? Taejin asked. They attack every few months, take our supplies, kill anyone who resists. They enjoy it. Sport, they call it. Ilma laughed bitterly. We saved your species, and now ours is being destroyed. Taejin looked at his crew. Jisoo was crying silently. Hyuk's hands were clenched into fists. Every face on the bridge showed the same expression. Rage. Fleet Leader Ilma, Taejin said carefully. How long until the Krell return? Based on their pattern? Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe less. Why? Because you're not dying. Not today. Not ever. Taejin turned to his communications officer. Send a priority message to Haven. Use all channels. Maximum encryption. Message reads, we found them. They're dying. Activate the first law. Captain, what are you doing? Ilma asked. Taejin looked at her. You saved 50,000 humans 300 years ago when you had almost nothing to give. You risked everything for strangers. Now there are 2 million of us. We have resources you can't imagine. Technology you've never seen. And we have spent 300 years preparing for this moment. Even if we didn't know it. I don't understand. You will. Help is coming. A lot of help. More than you can possibly imagine. Taejin smiled. Your great-grandmother planted a seed when she saved us. She couldn't have known what kind of tree would grow from it, but you're about to find out. We can't repay you, Ilma said desperately. We have nothing. You already paid us. 300 years ago. This isn't payment. This is gratitude. Taejin leaned forward. Fleet Leader, have you ever heard of the first law of Haven? No. Our first leader, Chancellor Minji Park, carved it in stone before she died. It says we are alive because strangers showed mercy. When we have strength, we repay this debt. We do not forget. Taejin's voice was firm. You're about to learn that humanity doesn't forget a kindness, and we repay it in ways you can't imagine. Over the next 48 hours, Taejin watched his sensors with growing amazement. Ships were arriving. Human ships, dozens of them. Then hundreds colony ships, massive and slow, designed to carry thousands. Medical vessels equipped with advanced hospitals. Supply ships loaded with food, water, medicine, and equipment. Engineering ships with repair crews. And warships, sleek, dangerous, powerful vessels that made the Remembrance look like a toy. Ilma watched the fleet gather with tears streaming down her face. How? She kept asking. How do you have all this? 300 years of building, Tejan explained. 300 years of advancement. 300 years of remembering what you did for us. Every ship you see, every resource we bring, every innovation we developed, all of it exists because you gave us a chance. A massive command vessel arrived, larger than anything else in the fleet. President Yuna Kim's face appeared on screen. Captain Tejan, she said, I'm taking command of this operation. Stand by for further orders. Then Yuna's image switched to the Velran frequency. She looked at Ilma with an expression of deep respect. Fleet Leader Ilma, I am President Yuna Kim. On behalf of all humanity, I have one thing to say to you. Thank you, and now please let us return the favor. Within 24 hours, the human fleet had completely surrounded the Velran ships, but not like predators surrounding prey, like shields protecting something precious. Ilma floated in the command center of her dying flagship and tried to understand what was happening. It was too much, too fast, too impossible. Medical teams had already boarded. A human doctor named Min Seok had examined her personally, then immediately started treatment for malnutrition and 3 different diseases she didn't even know she had. He worked with gentle efficiency, explaining everything he did. You'll feel better in a few hours, Min Seok said. The treatment is aggressive but safe. We've tested it on Velran biology using your historical medical data. Don't worry. How do you have our medical data? You gave it to us 300 years ago. We kept everything. Every file. Every record. Every piece of information you shared. We studied it. Learned from it? Min Seok smiled. You gave us the keys to survival. We've spent 3 centuries being very grateful. Engineers led by a woman named Bora were crawling through the ship's systems. They moved with practiced confidence, tools in hand, already repairing critical systems. Your power core is about to fail, Bora told Ilma. We can replace it. We have spares. Better ones than you had originally, actually. Fusion-based, more efficient. We can have your ship running at full power in 6 hours. We can't pay for this, Ilma said weakly. Bora looked confused. Pay? Fleet leader, you saved our species. There's no payment. This is what family does. In the command ship, Yuna watched the operation with satisfaction. Around her, dozens of officers coordinated the massive relief effort. Every Velran ship was being assessed. Every Velran citizen was receiving medical care. Food was being distributed. Water purified. Children were being treated for diseases. Admiral Subin approached. She was 55, gray-haired, calm, and competent. She commanded humanity's military fleet. Madam President, we've completed the security assessment. The Krell Dominion has been attacking the Velran regularly for 80 years. Based on their pattern, we estimate they'll return in 8 to 10 days. Good, Yuna said. That gives us time to prepare. Prepare for what exactly? Yuna looked at her. To teach the Krell a lesson they'll never forget. To show them what happens when you hunt species that showed mercy, and to demonstrate to the galaxy what humanity is capable of when we're protecting something we love. Subin smiled slowly. I was hoping you'd say that. On the 7th day, Tejan was helping repair a Velran cargo ship when the alarm sounded. Krell ships had just entered the system. 15 of them. Large, heavily armed, covered in weapons and armor. All human vessels, this is Admiral Subin. Defensive positions. Protect the Velran fleet. Weapons hot. Rules of engagement are authorized. Tejan ran to the Remembrance and reached the bridge in minutes. On screen, he could see the Krell ships approaching. They looked like weapons that had been shaped into vessels, all sharp edges and gun ports. A communication came through. A Krell face appeared. Reptilian. Scaled, with multiple eyes and a wide mouth full of teeth. This is Krell Commander Vex. You are interfering with our prey. Leave now or be destroyed. The Velran belong to us. Subin's face appeared on the response channel. She looked at Vex with an expression of cold disdain. This is Admiral Subin of the Human Defense Fleet. The Velran are under our protection. You will leave this system immediately. This is your only warning, Vex laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. Human, we've never heard of you. You have 20 ships. We have 15. And we are Krell. We do not fear weaklings. You're right. You haven't heard of us. Let me introduce humanity to you. Subin made a gesture. 50 more human warships dropped out of FTL. Then 50 more. Then another 100. Within minutes, the Krell were staring at a fleet of 300 military vessels, all with weapons pointed at them. "We are the species that survived extinction," Subin said calmly. "We are the species that turned a poisoned moon into paradise. We are the species that spent 3 centuries preparing to repay a debt of kindness. And we are the species that does not tolerate bullies." Vex's multiple eyes were wide. "This isn't possible. Where did you come from?" "From the species you've been hunting. 300 years ago, the Velryn saved us when we had nothing. They gave us hope when we were dying. They showed us mercy when they had every reason to save themselves instead." Subin's voice went cold. "You've been hunting the species that saved us. Consider this your lesson in consequences." The Krell ships opened fire. It was a mistake. Tajin watched in awe as the human fleet responded, weapons he'd never seen before. Technology developed in secret over centuries. Energy shields that absorbed the Krell weapons like raindrops. Return fire that cut through Krell armor like paper. The battle lasted 7 minutes. 10 Krell ships were destroyed. 5 retreated, badly damaged. Subin opened a channel to the fleeing ships. "Tell your Dominion this. The Velryn are under permanent human protection. Any ship that approaches them will be destroyed. Any species that threatens them will face humanity's full response. And humanity, Commander Vex, does not forget. Do you understand?" The response was silence and faster flight. Ilma had watched the battle from her repaired flagship. When it ended, she collapsed into her command chair, shaking. A message came through. It was Una. "Fleet Leader Ilma, are you well? That was... You destroyed them easily. They threatened you. That was unacceptable." Una's expression was calm. "Your great-grandmother Tilra taught us something important 300 years ago. She taught us that mercy matters, that kindness is strength, not weakness, that helping others, even when it costs you everything, is the right thing to do. We learned that lesson well, and we defend it fiercely. I don't understand how we can ever repay this." Una smiled. "You already did, Ilma, but there's more. We have a proposal for you. Can you come to my ship? Bring whoever you need. We have something to show you." Hours later, Ilma floated in Una's command center with her senior staff. Una pulled up a holographic display. It showed Haven. The moon looked nothing like the poison rock the Velryn had left humanity on. "This is our home," Una explained. "Haven, you gave us a moon that was barely habitable. We made it into this. The images showed cities, forests, rivers, breathable atmosphere. 2 million humans living in a paradise they'd built from scratch. It's beautiful," Ilma whispered. "It is. And it's huge. Haven has room for billions, but we only have 2 million people. We've been focused on building, not reproducing. There's empty land. Plenty of it," Una paused. "We want to give you a continent. 2 billion square kilometers. We've already started building Velryn-compatible habitats. You can remain nomadic if you wish, but you'll have a home. A real home. A place to rest, to heal, to grow." Ilma stared at her. "You're giving us part of your planet? You gave us our lives. This seems like a reasonable trade." "It's too much. We can't accept." Una stood and walked to the window. Outside, hundreds of ships worked on repairing the Velryn fleet. Medical personnel moved between vessels. Engineers swarmed over failing systems. Supply ships distributed food and water and medicine. 300 years ago, you had a choice. Save your resources, protect your people, move on, or help dying strangers at great cost to yourself. You chose mercy. That choice saved 50,000 humans. Una turned to face Ilma. "Those 50,000 became 2 million. We built a civilization on the foundation you gave us. We created technology, art, culture, families. Millions of lives that exist only because your great-grandmother decided that kindness mattered more than logic." Tears ran down Ilma's face. "So no," Una continued gently. "This isn't too much. This isn't even close to enough. How do we repay a gift like that? How do we properly thank someone for our entire existence? We can't. The debt can never truly be repaid, but we're going to spend the rest of time trying." Ilma's voice was barely a whisper. "Why? Because you taught us what it means to be good. In our darkest moment when we had lost everything, you showed us that mercy exists, that kindness is real, that some beings in this universe care more about helping others than helping themselves." Una smiled. "You showed us what we should aspire to be, and now we're trying to live up to that example. Our people believe the debt is paid. Then they're wrong. This debt will never be paid, because it's not about payment. It's about gratitude. It's about honoring what you did." It's about making sure your mercy wasn't wasted. Yuna held out her hand. Come home with us, Ilma. Come see what your kindness built. Come rest, heal, grow, and let us show you what humanity has become because of you. Ilma took her hand. Tilra would have loved to see this. She saw the beginning. That's enough. She planted a seed. We're just the tree that grew from it. 3 years later, Ilma stood on the southern continent of Haven and watched Velrin children play in the gardens. The gardens were enormous, spanning kilometers. Trees from the Velrin homeworld, lost centuries ago, grew here now. Flowers bloomed in colors she'd only seen in old records. Water flowed in clean streams. The air was perfect, breathable, safe. 10,000 Velrin had become 15,000. Healthcare and proper food worked miracles. Children were being born. The elderly were living longer. Disease was disappearing. They were healing. Behind her, cities rose. Not human cities, Velrin cities. Designed by Velrin architects, built by human and Velrin workers together. Ships came and went from spaceports. Some Velrin remained nomadic, traveling the stars. But they always came back here. To Haven. To home. Beautiful, isn't it? Ilma turned. Yuna walked toward her, older now, with gray threading through her hair. She looked tired but happy. It's beyond beautiful, Ilma said. 3 years ago we were dying. Now we're thriving. I still can't believe it's real. It's real. And it's just the beginning. They walked together through the gardens. Around them, Velrin and humans moved together, trading, talking, laughing. Two species learning from each other. The research stations are producing amazing results, Yuna said. Combining Velrin knowledge with human innovation, we've made breakthroughs in medicine, engineering, energy production, things neither species could have achieved alone. We owe you so much. Yuna stopped walking. Ilma, please stop saying that. You owe us nothing. How can you say that? You saved us, you gave us a home, you protected us, you've shared everything. And you gave us our existence. The debt flows one direction. From us to you. They reached the memorial site. The stone with Minji's words still stood, worn smooth by millions of hands over 3 centuries. But now there was a second stone beside it. This one had words in both human and Velrin languages. 2 species, 1 kindness, infinite gratitude. Taijin suggested that, Yuna said. He's good with words. How is he? Leading first contact missions. Making friends across the galaxy. He's become our ambassador. Yuna smiled. He has a gift for it. He meets new species and tells them the story of the Velrin and humanity. About mercy and gratitude. About building something good. Is that why you're doing all this? The outreach programs, the aid missions? Yuna nodded. After we found you, after we saw what happened, we realized something. The Krell aren't unique. There are bullies and predators all over the galaxy. Species that hurt others. But there are also dying species. Struggling species. Species that need help. And you're helping them. We're trying. We established something called the Accord of Mercy. Joint Human Velrin Organization. We search for species in trouble. We offer aid. No strings attached. No payment required. Just help. Yuna looked at the stones. Your great-grandmother taught us that kindness matters. We're trying to spread that lesson. Ilma felt tears in her eyes. Tilra saved you hoping you'd survive. She never imagined this. She planted something better than she knew. Mercy isn't just an action. It's a seed. It grows, it spreads, and it changes everything it touches. A young boy ran past. Human. He was chasing a Velrin girl about the same age. They were laughing, playing some game only children understood. The Velrin girl's parents watched with amusement. They were talking to human neighbors about something ordinary. Dinner plans, maybe, or the weather. This is what matters, Yuna said quietly. Not the grand gestures, not the fleets and the technology. This, children playing together, families living side by side, 2 species building a future together because once, long ago, someone chose kindness over logic. Do you think we've repaid the debt? Yuna laughed. No. Never. That's the point, Ilma. The debt can't be repaid. It shouldn't be repaid, because it's not really a debt. It's a gift. And gifts don't require payment, they require gratitude, honor, and passing it forward. They walked to the spaceport. A ship was preparing to launch. The Remembrance, Tajin's ship. He was leading another first contact mission. Where's he going? Ilma asked. The Kepler Rim. There's a species there, the Rothani. They're dying. Plague. Failing technology. Sound familiar? Yuna's expression was determined. We're going to help them. Can you save them? We think so. We have the medical technology, the resources, the experience. We saved you, we can save them. And what do you ask in return? Nothing. Just that they remember. That someday when they're strong, they help someone else. Pass it forward. Spread the kindness. Yuna looked at her. That's what your people did for us, not just save us. You showed us how to be better, how to think beyond ourselves, how to care about strangers. The Remembrance lifted off. Ilma watched it climb into Haven's blue sky until it was just a point of light. Then it vanished, jumping to faster-than-light travel. I wish Tilra could see this, she said. Maybe she can. Maybe mercy echoes through time somehow. Maybe every act of kindness reaches forward and backward, touching everything. Yuna smiled. Or maybe I'm being philosophical because I'm getting old. You're not that old. Old enough to think about legacy, about what we leave behind. Yuna gestured at the continent around them. This is what we want to leave. Not conquest, not empire. Just proof that kindness is stronger than cruelty. That mercy is more powerful than violence. That helping others, even when it costs everything, is always worth it. A message came through on Yuna's communicator. She read it and smiled. The Rothani accepted our help. Tajin says they're crying. They can't believe strangers came to save them. What did he tell them? The same thing we tell everyone. That long ago strangers saved us. That we're just paying it forward. That mercy matters. Yuna looked at Ilma. And that someday when they're strong, they'll have a chance to help someone else. To spread the kindness further. They stood in silence, watching the sky. Ships moved overhead. Human ships. Velrin ships. Ships from other species that had heard the story and wanted to join the Accord of Mercy. The galaxy was large, there was much work to do. The debt will never be repaid, Ilma said finally. No, Yuna agreed. It won't. Because the greatest gift isn't one you repay. It's one you pass forward. Your people gave us life. We're giving others hope. Those others will help more species. And those species will help even more. The kindness spreads, grows, multiplies. Like a seed. Like a seed, Yuna confirmed. Tilra planted it 300 years ago. It's become a forest now. And that forest keeps growing. Jihoon ran past. He was Do-hyun's great-great-great-great-grandson, though he'd never known his famous ancestor. He was 8 years old and his best friend was a Velrin boy named Kes. They were arguing about which ship was faster. Normal kid things. Ilma watched them and smiled. This is what she wanted. Not gratitude, not repayment, just this. Life continuing, growing, spreading. Then we're succeeding. Years passed. Decades. The Accord of Mercy grew. Humans and Velrin worked together, helping dying species across the galaxy. Some accepted help gratefully. Some were suspicious. Some refused. But the offer was always made. Always sincere. Always without strings. The galaxy changed slowly. Species that had been saved helped others. Kindness spread. Mercy became less rare. Predators like the Krell found fewer victims. Cooperation replaced exploitation, not everywhere. Not completely, but enough. Enough to matter. And at the center of it all was Haven, a poisoned moon that had become paradise, where two species lived together, building something good. Where the first law was carved in stone and read by millions of visitors. We are alive because strangers showed mercy. When we have strength, we repay this debt. We do not forget. The debt could never be repaid. The gift was too great. But humanity kept trying anyway, generation after generation, century after century, spreading kindness like Tilra had spread it to them, because humanity didn't forget a kindness, and they repaid it in unthinkable ways, not with wealth, not with power, but with mercy given freely to strangers, with hope offered to the dying, with kindness spread across the stars until it became not just human nature, but universal nature, until mercy itself became the greatest legacy, the gift that kept giving, the seed that grew into a forest that covered the galaxy, all because once long ago a tired alien captain named Tilra looked at dying strangers and said, "No species should die alone in the dark." And humanity, in their gratitude, spent eternity making sure no species ever had to.